everyone, welcome back. This week we're diving into the problem with Portland. Now, Portland is known for its quirky charm, vibrant culture, and beautiful surroundings, and it is gorgeous here. But there is a growing issue that potential retirees need to be aware of, and that is the housing market. Prices are skyrocketing, and finding a place to call home is becoming more and more of a challenge here. But don't worry, this video isn't going to be all doom and gloom. We're not going to be talking about just the challenge of finding housing. We're going to also be talking about a couple of neighborhoods that are up and coming that could be potential retirement investments and not these crazy prices that we're seeing. So we'll look at Lents and Overlook. Plus, we'll get into the usual, discuss what your lifestyle would look like here and getting around. This has got some public transportation, so I'm kind of excited about that. And of course, the weather, just how much rain is here, and the pros and cons, so you can make an informed decision. So let's get started. Let's talk about the biggest challenges in Portland, housing. Portland has been facing a significant housing shortage for a while now. The demand for homes far exceeds the supply, which makes it difficult and more expensive to get affordable housing. The city does have regulations in place to have a certain amount of construction be affordable, but it's still a very tough market. And so this shortage has led to skyrocketed prices, especially in the popular neighborhoods. So it means finding the home that is just right for you and your budget could make it a challenge. So let's start talking about like the Pearl District. So this is their downtown area. And this neighborhood is known for sleek, modern condos, vibrant urban living. It's a fantastic place if you're looking for that more contemporary lifestyle. Every food truck and everything is just right within walking distance, which you know I love that part. It's a fantastic place if you're looking for a more contemporary lifestyle with easy access to shops, restaurants, cultural activities. However, these amenities are going to come at a premium. If you're looking for housing in the Pearl District, you're looking from maybe $800,000 for like a studio to well over a couple million. So probably showing some right now, some different options. So while the Pearl District is great to be right down in the hub, it's going to come at a price. All right, on the other hand, if we're talking about the modern luxury of the Pearl District, there's Washington Park. Oh my gosh, this place is fabulous. We'll get into it when we talk about lifestyle, but the homes around Washington Park, historic, large, beautifully manicured. Oh my gosh, just so beautiful here. So Washington Park area is going to be perfect for those who appreciate classic architecture, quieter, more serene environments, but you're still close enough to everything. However, the cost here still at a premium, and that could be a barrier for some of us. So now let's get into the other side of it, some affordable options that I did find. So the first one is in Lents and Overlook. So those are the two that I'm going to focus on. And I don't know neighborhood specifically, but Lents has a park, so I use that landmark to say the Lents neighborhood, and Overlook has a neighborhood park. So that's how I'm doing that one. You can find single-family homes here and at a more reasonable price point. So I'm talking kind of that $500,000 mark, not cheap, but considering one, it is a lot more affordable than everything else I'm seeing in Portland. And two, especially with Lents, this is going through a revitalization. It could actually become a good investment because as everything is growing around it, your home value is going to go up with it. So that is some good news to the housing issues. All right. So while the housing market is a problem or a challenge in Portland, Portland has so many great things going for it. It is worth looking into neighborhoods like Lents or Overlook. If you are looking, I want to retire to this area, But let's get into what your lifestyle would look like. It is a really fun, quirky kind of place, and all the other good stuff that comes with it. And if you're not looking to retire, but you just want to know more about the Pacific Northwest and the city of Portland, keep watching. Did you know Portland has more breweries, can't say that with my lisp, or I should say more breweries per capita than anywhere else in the world? So in Portland alone, there are over 70 breweries. I need another word for it. Beer hubs, beer pubs? All right, I might need to fix that a little bit. Anyways, I figured that was a great place to start when we talk about lifestyle, because you can find a craft brew anywhere you decide that you're going to live. And if you're visiting, there's a bunch of them to try out. The next area of Portland we need to discuss is the food, specifically the food truck scene. Oh my gosh, there is a food truck for every kind of food and pretty much on every corner. And some areas have food truck pods, so you can have your significant other go get Mexican over here while you're getting Indian at this truck, and then you can sit in the square, enjoy a gorgeous day. And some of these food trucks, oh my gosh, there's like some bougie food coming out of these food trucks. So it is very much a Portland lifestyle in itself to be heading to the food trucks. All right, let's get beyond the breweries and food and get into the culture. And so there is a lot of cultural opportunities here, a lot of learning opportunities. We have the university. It has the most historic library, and I'm not going to try to say the first name, but the Central County Library, which is right in Portland. It's like 2 blocks from Pioneer Square. It is the most historic library west of the Mississippi. Had no idea. I always love going into libraries, and so I loved learning that. And it is a great place to walk around. Now, I probably shouldn't put this in the same category, but Powell's is a Portland institution. It is the largest urban new and used bookstore, and it is enormous. And again, it's right down in the Pearl District. If this is an area you're retired to, or if you're just visiting, you can lose lots of time here. Especially if that famous rain decides to interrupt your day, you can go lose several hours in Powell's. And there is a wonderful art museum. And so there is plenty of cultural experiences. I'm going to put the gardens in the outdoor activities, but I will say the Japanese garden is both an outdoor activity and a cultural one, in that it is one of the most authentic Japanese gardens outside of Japan. And as somebody who was just recently in Japan, I can say, yeah, I see why they're saying that. Okay, so let's get into the outdoors. Portland, and we will discuss the weather a little bit coming up, but it is, oh my gosh, it's so green. It's just beautiful here. So you have the river, you have water activities, you have the largest urban forest park, over 300 miles of bike paths. There are major bike people here. Like when I tell you about the airport, there's even a place to assemble your bike. So if you're watching, Mitch, we can get off the plane, you can build your bike, assemble your bike right there at the airport and hit the road. So now you'll want to travel with me more, right? All right, I've really gotten off track. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so outdoor activities. Washington Park, I discussed it earlier when I was talking about the houses. It is a whole compound of activities. The Oregon Zoo is here, the Japanese garden is here. Now, if you're gonna retire here, you get an annual pass, because this place is like major uphill. You get a workout in, and it is an absolute gorgeous garden. There's tennis courts, all the things you would expect in a big park. So the Rose Garden, I'm sure I'm missing something, but there is a lot of outdoor activities here. Like I said, with the forest park, hiking trails, biking, being on the river, no shortage. And since this is a potential retirement video, let's not forget about healthcare. I saw a lot of options. Luckily, knock on wood, I had no reason to use healthcare at this time, but I did go and check out some of the places, and there does seem to be an abundance of different options for healthcare. To sum it up, breweries, more per capita than anywhere else in the world, food trucks on every corner, culture, and outdoor activities. What more could you want? But let's get into what it's going to look like to get around to all these things, and then touch more on that weather. What I do love about Portland, aside from the housing issues, is how easy it is to get around. While I would say the Pearl District is very walkable, Portland is more spread out. However, they have the Max Rail Light, or is it Max Light Rail? This rail system gets you in and around Portland. It is electric, so they're really big into sustainability here, which is an awesome idea. And it's cheap. So you have the ease, the convenience, and the affordability of just using the Max Light Rail when you don't want to bother with a car and trying to park and all of those kind of good things. Then I already mentioned over 300 miles of biking paths and dedicated. And like I said, there is a culture here that is a bike culture. Like they have Bike-a-Palooza, but everywhere you go, you will see bike parking, bike corrals, and it really makes it user-friendly for people who want to bike from point A to point B. There are a lot of neighborhoods, especially if you're out in Lents and Overlook, that's going to be a little bit more away. While they do have stops for the Max Rail, if you're doing a Costco run or things like that, you're probably going to need a car. If you're trying to go to the Columbia Gorge, which is over an hour away, you're going to want a car. But I will say, in terms of if you're just kind of staying in Portland, you can probably get away with the Max Rail Light, maybe taking up bike riding. Super convenient. And the airport, this is a big one for me. It's like, gosh, I don't know, 15 minutes from city center. So PDX, the Portland International Airport, basically services anywhere in the world you want to go. And it is right there in the heart of Portland, and makes it easy, convenient. Every airline. I will say I was actually coming through the airport recently, and they're doing a whole renovation. So I imagine this place is going to be spectacular looking when they're done with that, because it was already filled with art and restaurants and shops, and it is a great airport. All right, so now that we have covered how you're going to get around, what your life looks like, the neighborhoods you could live in, let's talk about just how much rain can we expect if we live in Portland? I will say, on my last visit into Portland, I had maybe 5 minutes of rain, and it was spring. A time before that, it was, the end of summer, and it did not stop raining. So I'm going to give you what the averages are, but just know my last two visits into Portland didn't match up with these. I would say overall, I like the climate. It seems very mild. Now, I haven't lived there in any kind of length of time where I could talk about if it was gray and dreary, but let's get into it and break it down by season so you know what you can expect. All right, so while it is known for its mild climate, it does have 4 seasons, which I think is kind of cool. So in the winter, the temperatures are going to typically range from that 35 degrees Fahrenheit to about 50. Or 2 degrees Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius. You can expect about 18 inches of rainfall, and so the winter is going to be the wettest season. And they do sometimes have snow in Portland, which I think is super cool, but that's just because it's only going to be a little bit. There's not going to be any heavy shoveling or removing ice from your windshield. All right, so let's get into spring. It's going to warm up a little bit. Your temperatures are now going to be about 45 degrees to 65. That just sounds wonderful to me. Or 7 to 18 Celsius. Rainfall is going to drop down to about 12 inches. So you're still going to have the rain, but everything is blooming. It's green. That's one thing that rain is giving you. All right. And then summer, sunny but mild. Not really those triple digits. Although I did have a trip from Idaho. I was in Coeur d'Alene coming down through Portland to head into California. and it was triple digits. So again, I said, these are averages. But so the summer temperatures could still have lows like that 55 degrees, getting up to 85, but again, no more triple digits, or 13 to 29 Celsius. Rain will be minimal. I should use air quotes. Maybe about 3 inches. So plenty of sunny days, white puffy clouds, perfect time to enjoy all those outdoor activities without the scorching heat of like a desert lifestyle. And then the fall is going to cool off again, 45 to 70 or 7 to 21, and about 10 inches of rain. So there you have it. Well, it does have its share of rain. It's not all day, every day, but it is something to consider. So just sort of keep that in mind that in the winter, that is the time to go to those museums, hang out in that gorgeous library, or lose yourself at Powell's. And then in the summer, you've got the river and all the beautiful gardens to enjoy. All right, so I think we've done it. But as always, we're going to try to organize all this into a list of pros and possible cons. What works for me may not work for you. All right, let's dive into the pros and cons of retiring in Portland. So every place does have its ups and downs, and Portland is no exception. So here's what I see as things you need to know if you're deciding if this is right for you. We're going to start with the pros, of course. There is a high quality of life here. There are beautiful natural surroundings and easy access to parks, rivers, forest, the Oregon coastline. So if you love outdoor living, this is the place for you. And there is a vibrant cultural scene, and I'm not talking just the breweries and the food trucks, although I think that's super, I don't know, is it like bohemian? It's a little quirky, but it's a great, I don't have the words, you just have to be there and feel it. It's a great vibe there. But there's art galleries and theaters and the University for Continued Learning. So there is a cultural scene here that is definitely going in the pro list. And another pro is the excellent public transportation. And with an eye towards sustainability, it's a win-win. So whether you're on the Max Light Rail, whether you become a biker, whether you just love the access to PDX so you can travel, we have it in Portland. So that kind of rounds out the pros. And now we'll talk about the challenges. At the top of the list is the whole reason I started this video is the housing. The supply is not meeting the demand, which means the prices are going up. So it's going to take a lot more research, a lot more patience, a lot more really digging through the market to find something that is right for you. If the sky's the limit, there are amazing turnkey places with great views in Pearl District and Hillside. However, overall, for most of us, finding affordable housing here is going to be a challenge. That's at the top of my con list. The weather, I'm putting in the cons because I do recognize that this could be a downside for a lot of people. If you're used to sunny, bright weather, they have a lot of rain here. Several inches, pretty much every season. So that will change how you live. Now, like I said, if you enjoy the coffee shops and the galleries and everything, there's going to be plenty to do, but it is something to consider. And the traffic, even though they have all the public transportation, there is some major congestion here. And I've lived in big cities and I've been in lots of places, but Portland is not free of the traffic. So that is definitely another consideration. So if you get stuck on one of those bridges during rush hour, I will say, if we're retired, we don't have to follow the same time schedule as those poor people that are still working. But it is something to consider. I put it in the con list. What do you think? Does Portland sound great? Are you in love with the idea of a brewery every time you turn around, or the food trucks and not having to cook anymore because you can find a food truck nearby? Or is it just the outdoor lifestyle that's appealing to you? Or do you hate all of it? Here's what I'll say, just to see if anybody actually watched to this far, because who's going to watch all the way to the end? Voodoo Donuts, which is in the Pearl District and is like infamous, is not nearly as good as Pink Box in Vegas. There, I've said it. I will die on that hill. Let me know in the comments. Voodoo Donuts, Pink Box, you haven't tried either, hate donuts. Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I'll see you next time.